Welcome to Your Time to Thrive with personal fitness coach Jason Stevenson.
Hi, friends. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for listening in or tuning in on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching your podcasts. My name is Jason. I'm here from Thrive Training. And today we have a special guest with me, a very good friend of mine, a longtime friend and client who is literally, in my mind, the definition of perseverance. With a positive attitude and a positive outlook on life, and certainly somebody who has been through enough in her world to have earned that, is a good friend of mine, Becky Trebisacci.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Beck.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, happy Wednesday.
Wednesdays are good.
Right? It's a good day regardless of what your work week is, isn't it?
And I think today is a lot of, in the school department, it's going to be like our Friday. Because tomorrow we've got the word that we don't have to, we get a snow day tomorrow, a fun day, snow day tomorrow.
You're actually getting a snow day?
Well, we have to do work and the kids have to do work, but it's on our own time schedule. So you get to go out and do the fun snow stuff without having to worry about what time you have to be on with the teacher. So that's very exciting. Yeah.
I love it. You know, I was a little worried actually when I heard that the Rhode Island schools would still be in session.
I know.
I mean, given that we can all do a lot of our life online.
You know, the teachers want the snow day just as much as the kids. We were already talking about it this morning. I said, get a cup, go out and fill it and pack it with snow and bring it in and put your favorite juice on it and make yourself a snow cone. They're like, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
You always have some of the best ideas. I talk to a lot of teachers, but you have certainly come up with some pretty amazingly creative ideas.
School is my favorite thing. So I keep myself in that position.
You have done a good job of that too. For those that don't know, Beck, what do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher, third grade teacher at State Street School in Westerly. I went back to school as an adult, so I went from the medical field to realizing my dream as a teacher finally, and it's the best thing I ever did. It's amazing. It's so rewarding every single day. It's amazing.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I am lucky. I love like you.
I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can attest, not having been in your classroom, but having been around you and been in public where you have bumped into students. I think it's amazing to see the way that whether they're a current student of yours or they're a past student, even better, because those kids light up. Aww. They go, Mrs. Treb. They all come up and give you a big hug. Well, pre-COVID, obviously, give you a big hug.
Right.
To see them respond to you in that way is just.
Well, to me, it's all about building relationships. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of cliche, but like 10 years down the road, you're not going to remember the teacher that taught you your multiplication tables. You're going to remember the one that cared about you. You know what I mean? That actually asked you questions, listened, followed up on it later down the road, and actually took interest in them and their lives and their challenges, because there's so many these days, so many. And that's the biggest thing I try to practice in my own life and with my students and my own kids is you just can't give up. Every time you walk through that door, it's a new chance.
And you give that to them. You give that to your students without even making it look like it's hard.
It took me a long time to get there. You know that. A long time to get there. So I'm happy to pass that on now to the younger generations and to people that are my age.
Oh my God, yeah. What? How long were you in your position before people were asking you for help?
Which position?
Well, I know that it's happened since you've been in that position, but your current teaching position, I know that because we were talking obviously during your sessions or during campfire or whatever, but I remember having conversations with you and you had not been in that position very long before teachers were coming to you saying, why did you do that way? How can I do it like this?
Right. Yeah, I've been teaching for, I think, about 9 years now. And that's part of it. Coming in as a new teacher, you do have a new outlook. You have new things to share, and sometimes you have to defend that. And I've talked to you about that many times. People will be like, "Well, why are you doing that?" Well, why aren't you doing it? That's the question. So I mean, to just right from the get-go, right from the gate, everybody should always be willing to listen and observe, whether you've been in it 5 minutes or 5 years. Everybody has something to contribute and to share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like listening to you and your mom last week. You obviously haven't been training as long as she has. She's been training longer, but you both have different things to bring to the table. So you don't disregard your tips because your mom is smarter than you. I'll say that. Hi, Peg. But you can't disregard anybody, no matter how long they've been in the game, no matter what game it is.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
That's often a fallacy in our society, isn't it? That
It
we
is.
respect experience and age, obviously, for the right reasons, but that we discredit the converse of that so quickly.
Right.
Oh,
And
you're the new guy on the block.
yeah, and I look at that with like food, for instance. I mean, it's no secret if you know me that I've used to be a terrible cook. I couldn't plan my food. I couldn't prep my food. Started out with one pan cooking that Jason taught me, and I've hit the road running. And the first time somebody asked me for my opinion, I'm like, why are you asking me that? Like, I have no experience whatsoever with what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter because they may like what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're bringing, what background you're bringing. You've done it, and that makes you like a pro. It makes you ready to share with other people. So never disregard what you have to bring to other people.
Huge.
Mhm.
And it did take you some time to get to that place.
Time.
There are, what do they say? You have to break a couple of eggs to make an omelet, right? Is that the old cliche?
Mhm.
But to not then, here we go, we'll carry another one, to not cry over spilled milk, right? So if you break some eggs into that omelet and you crack some shells into that omelet, then you don't lose your shit and throw everything out, right?
Exactly.
You keep trying and you keep going back at it. I can't tell you how many times I read some of your posts about your food prep and saw people commenting on it and their perspective of like, oh my God, she's doing so great. And wow, look at that. I wish I could do that. Or how did you plan that? Or where'd you come up with that idea? And then I would talk to you and you would say, oh, no, that turned out like shit.
Oh,
You know?
Or like,
that was crap. I'm eating it, but I'm going to do it different next time. But I think that's one of the things that I've always respected and loved about your perspective and things like that, and your perseverance. You have always come at the life, like whether it's your workouts, whether it's your food, whether it's your friendships, like whatever it is that I talk to you about, it's always like, all right, so did this work? Did this not work? I'm not done fighting. That's probably
never.
why. Yeah, well, that's an appropriate tattoo that you have for that reason. That the fighter still remains. That you will continue to fight, and you will continue to choose to not give up.
That's the hardest part. Choosing, like you have to look at your balance. What is your balance? Like, what's your normal? What's your how? It's so different for everybody, and it took me so long. Like, I'd have the food, but then I wouldn't have the exercise, or I'd have the exercise and the food wasn't good that week or that month. And it took me a long, long time to realize that sleep. I mean, you were telling me for 7 years, Becky, you don't sleep enough. And I'm like, whatever, Jason. But who does? Nobody sleeps enough. But like sleep and stress, wow. It doesn't get talked about very often, but it's usually the food or the exercise. But the sleep and the stress was a huge, huge norm and balance for me. But everybody's is different. If that's not an issue for you, maybe it's that you don't meditate enough, or maybe it's that you don't take the hour on Sundays to prep your food. But everybody's is different, and that's what you have to make sure you're persevering in the right directions.
Yes. Oh. That's a thank you from all of your past students and your future students and your present students too there, Beck.
That was very sweet. Thank you.
Meg just shouted out thank you to Becky for being a teacher here. It was a very sweet thank you. I agree with that, because that's one of the hardest things I think for people to find, is that balance, and to understand that it's not just 100% focus on my food or 100% focus in the gym, because you can check the boxes, but you have several boxes to check. And if you're not hitting them, then you're definitely not balanced, and it's going to show.
Yeah. And you have to be gentle about it. Like, you're always chasing it. I feel like you're always going to be chasing it. If you're not chasing it, you're not mindful of the fact. But the balance is, are you chasing it too much, or are you chasing it enough? And that's where, I mean, you know me, I've thrown in the towel many times. You know, I had back issues or this and that, and I'm like, forget it. I just can't. I just can't do it right now. But knowing when you have to chase it and when you have to step back, I think is one of the is huge too, right? Because if you're trying to chase it too hard and it's not the right time, it's going to backfire in your face.
I think that that's the reason that I talk about accountability and evaluating as much as I do, because I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's hard to disseminate all of the information out there as far as what you should do. I think it's really, really important, like you just said, to find perspective on everything, to be able to take a step back and kind of look at everything and lay it out and actually evaluate, is this working? It's like you should be evaluating your bills. You should be evaluating your expenses. You should be evaluating your money on a regular basis. Is this enough to get me through what I need to get through and get me where I want to long term?
Right.
It's like evaluating the chores at the house. Like some things get pushed aside or get like deprioritized. It's any application that you want to put this towards. If you're not evaluating what is working and what is not working on a regular basis, you're going to lose your footing.
Exactly.
And we get so caught in day to day, minimally, just getting through life sometimes, that it's hard to take that step back. And I oftentimes have scheduled sessions, I know, with people like yourself, that we need that time to talk.
Right.
It's always like, go, 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 go. I want to get a good workout in. I'm going to get to the gym. I'm going to drink my shake. I'm going to go, 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 go. It's like, sometimes you need to sit down and write out what's going on in your life, or evaluate where you are in your life.
Well, that's where COVID's been huge for me. It's been a total reset. Like, I try to journal, and sometimes you give me a gentle reminder. When's the last time you wrote a note? And I roll my eyes and you call me out on it. But like, resetting, this has been and for me, my personality is go, go, go. I am balls to the wall 24/7. If I'm not getting ready for teaching or doing stuff with my own children or helping out my families, because I'm like the caretaker. I mean, I am like go, go, go. So this has made me stop, made me sit down and just reset myself, like do some writing. What are your goals? What, not just even goals, but where do you want your mindset to be? I think that's the biggest piece sometimes. Where do you want your mindset to be before you even think about setting your goals?
Yes. So you've recently, and not that it's a new thing for you, but it's been a definite push, especially since COVID. I would agree with that. Have focused on mindset a lot. What do you think has helped you the most in that? Given the circumstances, obviously, has forced it upon you in a way, but we've talked about that for a while. What do you think is really turning the corner for you?
I really think that getting everything balanced has helped me. I feel like I couldn't be in the mindset of where I needed to be because I wasn't getting the sleep I needed, and I wasn't dealing with the stress levels always being way up here. So the fact that I knew I had to stop, take a step back, and realize where does your mind need to be before you can think about going forward. I would always look at things like you'd say, well, how you doing? I'd be like, oh, I'm fine. You don't really want to talk about all your negatives all the time. But I read a book recently, which I know you've read too, Green Lights, and it's really about turning even a negative into a positive. Like turn it around, think about, okay, so this happened. How can I turn this into a positive mindset to move forward? There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to do it. Like I've had to be out of work recently because of COVID, and I've never had to stream to my class from home. We've always been online together, but
Yeah.
I had to come up with the third way of teaching where I'm home, they're in school, and I had to stream into them. And I was nervous, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work? They're there, I'm not. And I just looked at it as a green light of I'm with them, I'm teaching them. They're not with another teacher. They're not with somebody that's not familiar with them. So okay, I'm on the screen. Let's pretend we're at the movies, you know? And I presented it to them that way, and they're like, yeah, we're at the movies with Mrs. Treb. So, you got to turn it into a win. You just got to turn it into a win. That's all.
So that perspective shift gets bastardized in a lot of ways. I think that people poo-poo it in a way sometimes, and they say, "Oh, you have rose-tinted glasses on."
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
full of cliches today, apparently, but we're gonna keep rolling with
All
it.
right. I'm a very literal person, so.
But it's hard sometimes for somebody that's got a negative perspective on things, or that has that frank perspective on things, to see that as a viable option. I think
Right.
that what you said though was a good way of saying it, that like you don't look at the situation and then blindly say, oh, but it's nice and shiny and roses. We're not negating the negative,
No.
right? We're not ignoring that the glass still is half empty. Like, you're still recognizing that that's a reality. The choice is then how you speak of it,
Right.
right?
It
And
is a
how
red
you
light. Right. How can you turn it into a green light?
right, how you turn your response to it around, I think, is,
Mhm.
for me, has been that formulative piece. And we'll give a shout out to Matthew McConaughey here on the book Green Lights. If you haven't read it, get it on all your books, read it yourself. I
Amazing.
honestly recommend The Tangible. Both Becky and I are fans of holding the book and smelling it, so we're sharing that.
I
You
love
gotta
the book.
Well, I also think that his layout in the book is really beautifully done, and you miss out on that when you listen to it or if you read it digitally. But he said a lot of that you can't forget. Like, just being positive about things doesn't mean that you're ignorant
Right.
to the shit, to the negative, to the suck side. But it means that you have then recognized that and then decided, I don't want to look at it like that. I don't
Right.
want to respond to it like that. This, like you said, with your mindset, what mindset do you want? Do you want to remember and go through life going, oh, that sucked. That was terrible. This was
Right.
a bad day. I had a
Mhm.
bad night of sleep. What is your memory going to be like? What are you going to do to change your perspective and then change the outcome then for the next step?
Right. One of my biggest things I tell my students too is, and I'm sure a lot of people have this outlook, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react about what happens to you. Like I have outside my classroom, I have a troubles bucket, and it's actual a bucket with a sign on it. It says troubles bucket. So they're encouraged, and to if they came in and had a fight with mom or dad or a sibling or had trouble on the bus, take the actual physical effort of throwing that trouble in that bucket before you come in the classroom, because that's the time for it to change. I've actually had kids, now that they're comfortable with it, because at first they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, Mrs. Treb. Now they'll get up like in the middle of our day and they'll go over to the door and throw something away. And they'll come back completely on their own. Completely on their own. And it just
Uh,
gets ready for life that, you know what? Things are gonna happen to you. They're gonna happen to you your entire life. It's how you look at it, it's how you process it, and it's how you move on. That's where the power and the control are. How your day
yeah.
goes.
And for you control freaks out there, that's the answer. Because you have control over it. That I love that. Still struggle with food, sleep, and exercise, balancing that perspective. I would agree with that. And so Meg chimes in too with the same idea. I was
Yep.
feeling very good about choosing how to pivot and know what you need. Yes. You do need help. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Those students needed you to guide them there. They needed you to give them a place physically and emotionally to do that.
Right.
And what a great tool. And I hope that there are more teachers in your school that have buckets outside of their room right now, because that is an amazing idea. Because if you give somebody the psychological space and you say, look,
Mhm.
here's how you can deal with this.
Right.
Here's your methodology. And then you actually gave them a physical place for it. It wasn't like, well, just in your head, throw it away, let go of it. You actually
Right.
tactilely, like, here, throw it out, let it
Same
go.
process. And I don't care who you are, Jason. Everybody needs help with that.
Mm.
I may help my students, but you help me, and I'm sure you have somebody that helps you. Everybody needs that support system, no matter whether it's somebody physical or somebody that spiritually or whatever. Everybody needs that support system, and hopefully, everybody in life has at least one person that they can count on to be that rock for them or whatever. But everybody needs that support. I don't think anybody could probably do it on their own without
You
doing
shouldn't.
yeah.
We are a social species. And
Mhm.
even if it's just as a reflection of who we are, our mirrors in life, we need that. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I've talked about that before on here. Ben and I had a good conversation about that, because it's just about asking for help,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have to be that vulnerable in that sense. It just means that you have somebody that's there when you need them, that you can then talk to, get that stuff out.
exactly.
Whether you're paying them or not, you need somebody like that.
And it may not even be a person, it could just be a journal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It could be a journal. I've written many letters that I never mailed to people, but it's like
I
I'm
love that.
having that conversation with them. So it's processing it in my brain and in my emotions, and then I can successfully say that it's gone, never having actually
Yeah.
talked to that person.
Yeah. Because you let it go then.
Yeah, you let it go.
So there's a mental side to that too. I love
Mhm,
the physical side where you actually physically write it out.
mhm.
Are you burning it? What are you doing with
I
it
rip it
afterwards?
into little shreds.
Okay.
Most of them I rip into little shreds. I'll say that unless they're in my journal, then they'll just stay there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Huge. But I agree with you, because the idea that I'm going to get through this and it's all going to be okay is good, because that's a positive perspective for the current moment, that's relative to today, that's relative to what I'm getting through. But the reality is we're not done, right?
Right.
We're going to have snow to shovel tomorrow, more than likely, right? Hopefully. Um,
And that student's still going to come to school with that same problem, probably multiple times that year. But it's what do they need right now just to get them through present situation, or yourself, or your food, or your like. I was sick, and I wasn't cooking, I wasn't prepping, I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I couldn't let it bother me because I wasn't feeling well, so I was living on like protein shakes and chicken soup.
yeah.
But that's what had to happen, you know? I mean, you have to just be comfortable enough to know that there's gonna be tomorrow. There's gonna be time to work on your food or get back on track with the exercise or whatever it is.
And I think it touches on a topic actually that we all tend to do. We all tend to self-flagellate. We all tend to beat ourselves up, whether it's a choice that we feel we could have done differently or it's a situation.
Mhm.
I think it's a really important piece of this whole process of being able to continue fighting is to know when to let go,
Right.
is to know I don't have to continue to beat myself up about this.
You need to forgive yourself. I was
Oof.
talking to one of your clients, was it last month? I think I was chatting with one of your clients when we were on our way in and out,
Yes.
and I told her the biggest thing is just forgive yourself. She's like, "Well, I just, I didn't do this." I'm like, "Well, it's done. It's done." And please, I mean, anyone that knows me, it's taken me a long time to get there, a long time to get there. But you have to forgive yourself. It's not worth it to beat yourself up. And then, like last night, I wanted an ice cream cone, so I filled it with fruit instead of ice cream, and
I
that's what I
saw
had.
that.
It was still an ice cream cone. It still wasn't that. I mean, I could have had it in a bowl and saved the calories, but I still stuffed it in a cone. I'm over it. I'll exercise this afternoon, you
Yes,
know?
you will.
So, yeah, yes, I will.
I'll see you at 3:30.
I will. So, yeah.
I I think that right there is huge. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of things here that could be just written down and put on a meme, but if if you're not actively forgiving yourself, like if you're not talking to somebody because you've paid them to listen to you and they're not holding you accountable for that action, or if you're not journaling where it actually has you pull up that thought process,
Mhm.
um, allowing ourselves to be who we are and not beat ourselves up for that is huge. I've not met one person in my life who is really good at that yet.
Right.
Because we all carry our burdens, you know, like we all carry our guilts,
Mhm.
and guilt is literally just beating yourself up for something that has already happened. You know, and
That's a big question. How do you do that? I didn't meet anybody myself either. I mean, I have a lot of. I'm a very lucky person where I have support groups. Like I have a core, like 3 or 4 people that are really great at supporting, but I don't think I've met anybody like that yet either. So that means
yeah.
none of us running around there like that.
Well, that's because the truth is we have all had a life. You know, everybody that you've ever come across has history. And
Mhm.
nobody's perfect, you know.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to have had experiences or made decisions in your life that you're wish you could have done a little bit differently
Right.
or would have done differently
Mhm.
given some perspective on it, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean, just like the book, that doesn't mean that was a bad choice at the time or that was a bad experience. I think that's part of the process, is being able to evaluate that circumstance and recognize what you have learned from it and who you are now
Right.
because of it. And then there's nothing bad,
Right.
right? There's no red lights.
Exactly. Now if you turn them all into green lights.
But that's hard. I agree with you. So the question, I guess, would be to say, how do you do that? You know, if
$1,000,000 question.
well, I think we focus so much on forgiving others. You know, forgive others for their transgressions against us or the things that they've done for us, because we're so focused outwardly or externally. You know, on the situations or the impacts or the realities that you've experienced, but we don't take enough time to do that internal check.
Right. And I wish if I'm sure everybody has the wish of how they could be a different person. I wish I could put myself first more than I put everybody else. Like I am everybody's before me. I don't care who you are. You are before me. If you need something and I need it, I'm giving it to you. So that's just the way that it is. And I envy people out there that can just be like, nope, I need this. So I have to keep this. Not because you're being selfish, but because it's what you need. I envy people that can do that. That would be a goal of mine.
To be
Thank
selfish, damn
God
it.
answers.
Well, I think it's ironic because there are people that wish they had your initial reaction to every situation. Because as somebody that's been around you for several years now and a very good friend of yours, uh, I can attest to that, folks. this is this is literally the woman that will give you the shirt off of her back as she's about to put it on because she needs a shirt. Like, no, you need this. Here you go. It's amazing that we would see that almost as a fault. Not that we're describing it as a fault, but almost as a fault, because it is. It has brought you to a different place. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure.
And I
So,
have worked hard at that, and I think I have come very far at
yeah.
trying to learn that word no.
No matter how much we practice it,
Right.
the truth is, I think that what you have as an inherent identity trait is more of what this world needs anyway. Um, but it's about balance of that, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like just selfishly, I need this, screw you. It's there are certain boundaries and lines that I need to draw in my life, that this is necessary for me to be a whole individual.
Right.
You know, it's not like I need this like Black Friday sale shopping and I need this TV more than you do.
Right.
No, it's I need this sleep. I need this workout.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do my food prep right now, and I can help you with your homework in a couple of minutes, but I need to finish this right now.
Right.
You know, and that selflessness is a beautiful thing, but in small doses, right? Or
Right.
in balanced application.
Right.
But relative to our neighbors, I mean, I said this morning to somebody that if we as a world, because our entire world is dealing with COVID right now. It's not just the United States. It's not just our country. It's not just our state. It's not just our town. It's not just our family, right? Like the entire world is trying to figure this out. If we approach this as a, hey, how can we make this better for everybody else?
Right.
This would have been over months ago.
Right.
This would have been over months ago.
Exactly.
But we're not. We're not. I'm going to speed because I need to get somewhere fast and I don't care if I cause an accident.
Right.
You know, I'm going to cut in line and I'm going to get there because I need to get home faster because my priorities are more than yours and I don't care if I piss off people and ruin their day. You know, I'm going to do whatever I want and ignore this situation because I don't think it affects me and I don't believe in it or whatever perspective I have. And then people get sick. People die.
And the bigger thing, Jason, too, is the mental health piece. A lot of people don't see that yet because all they're seeing is the physical sickness. I mean, I've lost a family member to COVID. I've had family members in my own house, myself. I mean, it's real. It's there. It is a lot more stressful than I think anybody believes. But the mental health on I have a lot of medical friends because I was in the medical field previously. The stress and the mental health impact on the medical field, teachers, the kids, it's huge. And we're not even going to we see the repercussions now, but you're not even going to see half of that until later down the road. So right now in our face is the physical illness, but we have so far to go with this COVID. So far to go.
You started to talk about this before we came on the air. How long have you been in your bedroom now for?
I was quarantined in my bedroom away from my entire family for 9 days.
And you were quarantined prior to that in your house.
I've been quarantined. I've had 2 quarantines since before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So, you know, I was always like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have like a week by myself. I can read, I can watch TV, do what I want to do. Listen, folks, once you actually get that, it's not as much fun as you think it is. You know, my daughter was being a rebel. She's a 15-year-old teenager and popping in to see me or sit with me or whatever, even though she wasn't supposed to. And she's the one that didn't get it, funny enough. But to get no hugs, like not a hug, not a kiss, no conversation, like just the physical being with another person for 9 days, it's very odd. It's like life-changing. It really, really was. Like I can't even explain it. Like there's not even really any words until you actually go through it.
So what advice do you have for people out there that might have to deal with that or are going through that right now? What helped you the most?
Well, I think the fact that I knew how to stay busy, even on my own, helped me a lot. I went from, I didn't just do one thing. I went from reading to the TV to journaling. Like I made sure I had all my tools. If I didn't have my journal, I would have been a little crazy because then I would have just been TV or book. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was lucky where I could still work from home because I was remoting in and teaching from home. So that was a huge saving. But I think the biggest tip would be is to reach out, reach out to friends. I didn't reach out to, my tribe probably until day 7 or something. I think I finally reached out to you guys, but why did I wait that long? Like reach out to friends, say hello, get like a voice on the phone. Don't just text people. So you have like that connection, human connection. It's all about that, I think.
I'm a big believer in that. Reaching out on purpose. Like, don't be afraid. Like, I've always had that like in the back of my head that they're too busy or they're not gonna have time to talk or whatever. But you got nothing to lose.
Right.
right? You're currently not speaking to that individual.
That's what happens. They don't answer their phone. They call you later. It's
Right?
going to be a gift when they do.
I agree. So careful what you ask for, huh, Beck?
Yes. Don't be calling me at all hours now, Jason.
I have hours for my phone, so I couldn't. You stay up much later than I do.
I do. I need to get more sleep, but I still sleep less than you.
Yes, you do. And I thought that was hard to accomplish actually till I met you.
I mean, you went through it, right? You quarantined, and you and Kirst had to be separated for a little while.
Yeah, a
It's not
week
easy.
and a half after getting married, I had to sleep in a separate bedroom and shower in a different shower than my wife.
Is that what you expected?
Yeah, that sucked. That sucked. We would literally like stand across the hallway from each other and say, "I love you.
Yeah.
Good night." But in the same sense, though, I think that I feel good about having done things like that. We were
Mhm.
talking off air, like how when I'm training with my clients and if I'm one-on-one, I'm wearing a mask. I've
Right.
been wearing a mask since
Day one, you
April.
have. Yes,
Yeah,
you
like
have. Yeah.
end of March, beginning of April. As soon as they were like, "Hey, this would help," I'm like, "Okay, I'll wear a mask." Um, but it's our responsibility right now. It's like you're supposed to stay in your lane on the
Right.
highway. It's your job to do your part and to do the best you can for everybody else.
And it goes downstream. That's the piece. Like if you don't want to do it for yourself because you're tired of wearing a mask or it bothers your face or making you break out or whatever, do it for the person's grandparent that's next to you, or do it for the child who's fighting cancer in the household next door, or you don't know anybody's story. I mean, just having asthma can make it so much worse. So why it can be it goes downstream. So just because you and I may be in the gym together and we're not wearing, like, if one of us isn't wearing our mask, I'm still making things worse for you because I've been around 20 children in a classroom. You know what I mean? So you got to think outside your box and outside your circle, even though you're
I,
not supposed to be outside your circle.
no, but that I think, unfortunately, that's asking a lot of people
It is. It's not
to
easy
think.
for people. It's not
Yeah,
easy for me. I know that.
to think outside my own world. Like I have
Mhm.
to think about other people.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have faith, though. I am an
Always.
eternal optimist that we can do this as a country and as a world and as a society because
Mhm.
it truly is a great equalizer. You talk about something that has no regard for your place in life, no regard for how much money you make,
Right.
no regard for anything that we currently utilize as status indicators in our society. This is going to change our world. It has already, like dramatically,
Right.
but I think it's going to change it in ways that are good and it's going to change it in ways that are bad because I don't want the fear to maintain itself, to hold on, because being afraid to hug somebody or being afraid to be near other people or being afraid to share chips and dip at a party.
Or a beer.
Yeah, or taste my beer,
Yeah.
like that is a normal societal expectation, and I'm
Right.
I'm hopeful that those kinds of things come back when we can get together as a unified front and win this battle. Because whether we're frustrated by it or worn out and tired, I mean, this applies to everything. You know, this isn't over.
No.
Life is not over, and
Mhm.
the, your perspective that you're gonna pass it on is one of the reasons that I believe that you are supposed to be a teacher, because that's the role of teachers, is to pay it forward, is to pass it on.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, what we're passing on right now is an awful lot of terrible crap in our society, when the reality is we are creating a future for other people
Right.
every day in our society. You're creating opportunities. You are currently teaching students that will be teachers,
I hope so.
which is such a cool thing. You know that because you've inspired them in a way because you didn't give up.
Right.
It took you a while to find where you were going to be welcomed like you are now. It took you a while to find the right principal. It took you a while to find the right staff that was going to say, hey, you know what? This is a good thing here, this Trebisacci. She's a great teacher, and she might not have as much experience under her belt as this person, but
Right.
holy crap, is she bringing a whole nother world to the table.
And you had to listen to all my whining until I got there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm good at that because I believe in the same sense that it is my job to be there for other people in that sense, because I was led this way by teachers. I
Well,
was brought here by parents.
I'm sure everybody watching your podcast every day knows that. I mean, I don't know, for those that don't know my story, 8 years ago, I can't remember how many, 8 maybe.
Eight.
I met Jason at the gym. I was meeting him as a new client. He pulled up 2 big yoga balls and we sat down on them, and he didn't have a form. He wasn't asking me all these routine questions. He just wanted to have a chat with me, and I just sat there and cried on the ball. First time ever meeting him. And we had a conversation, and that was that.
It's all been downhill since then.
So it's that. It's the teacher you are as well. You know what I mean? And that inspires other people to be teachers, because it's not about the checklist. It's about getting to know the person, knowing what they need.
Well, we need to listen to each other, right?
Right.
I think that's one of the things I've always valued from your friendship. I know you're listening when we talk. Even if you're having a shitty day and you're stressed out and you're in the middle of a burpee round, you're still listening.
So good.
Well, then let that be what we pass on here. That don't give up.
Yeah, and ever. Like, I have a tattoo, it's right on my foot, but the fighter still remains. There's going to be fights you've got to fight. Just keep fighting them. That's all.
And listen to everybody. Pay attention. While we are on our own fight here, and I saw this the other day, and we'll finish with it, basically, that we're not all in the same boat. Some people got a yacht, some people have a speedboat, some people have just a little dinghy and they're rowing it, but we're all in the same ocean. And for us to think that our boat doesn't affect other boats or that it can't help other boats is selfish.
Exactly.
And we can, because we can all help each other. Love it, Beck.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Love talking. Thank you for taking the time. And folks, if you're out there and listening and you need help, ask for it, please. I'm here. We're all here. And absolutely. Thank you, Wendy, as a big last minute shout out here. We love you too, Meg. Thank you guys for listening. And for everybody who's listening currently or in the future, we appreciate you. We love you, and stay in touch. If you need help, thrivetrainingteam.com. We're here for you. Have a great day, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
For more information, tips, and workouts of the day, check out thrivetrainingteam.com.